You know, I noticed. Sorry, guys, it's stuck in my throat. I've been noticing recently something popping up on my feed. YouTube, in its infinite wisdom, I think about a month ago or 2 months ago, all of a sudden started suggesting to me videos entitled, something to the effect of chosen ones, etc., etc. And what are these videos all about? It's different people talking about kind of the same concept and using different examples and talking about different things, different topics within that kind of umbrella. That there are people on this planet called chosen ones, or what's called light workers. Some people in the New Age space like to call them light workers, right? What are they basically describing? And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. And you guys are going to watch this. It's basically folks that are, they're awake, not woke, but awake. They're awake to everything that's going on. They're awake to, kind of everything that's going on in the world, whether it's business world or dating or politics or spiritually speaking, or the, kind of the spiritual, I'm going to use the word numbness of the world. Or, they like to use the term low vibrations. And guys, what I noticed, among all this discussion, there's two things I want to say. And then I'll kind of get into it. Is that there are no Jewish people, or should I say, people who are coming from a Torah perspective. Torah, not Christian Bible, New Testament, but specifically Torah perspective, and anything to do with, adjacent to Torah, commentaries and the like, philosophy, who are speaking on this matter. There is no one. And the second thing I want to say, it's ironic because they're using the term chosen ones, and obviously we keep hearing about how people get upset when they talk about Jews. Oh, Jews think they're chosen nation, right? Obviously we know the term Am HaNivhar, the nation that has been chosen. It doesn't mean superior, right? It doesn't mean we're better. It just means Hashem selected us for a particular task, responsibility, right? It doesn't imply superiority. It doesn't even imply superiority or intelligence, because we're no more intelligent than the rest of, this planet. There's a lot of intelligent nations, a lot of intelligent peoples, You could say, well, Jews win a disproportionate amount of Nobel Prizes for certain things. That's only because we value education, but it doesn't make us smarter. We value just education, okay? Whether it's Torah, or if you're not into Torah, if you're a Jew and you're not into Torah, you're going to be into other things, right? So so that's that, okay. But apart from that, chosen means responsibility. But it's funny that you have all these non-Jews who are talking about, or you have the rest of the world talking about this whole concept of chosen ones, and they're talking about something else. So they're referring to people who are awake to everything that's going on in the world, and people who have, I just saw a video by this guy talking about how it's hard, for example, for the people like this to date, right? Why? Because we're looking for love, and it ends up being we're looking for love in all the wrong places, aka the world in 2024, right? It's difficult for us to find true love, real relationships, deep relationships. We have people lecturing at us, oh, just settle for this, you're not going to find that, you're not going to find this, you're not going to get everything, you're not going to get this and that and the other. And we are refusing to capitulate, right? So, us being us, right? So, us being who we are. So So basically, because of that, we're just like alone, right? Most of the time. So that's that. Another thing I keep, other types of videos that people put out are like, sorry, I just ate something like, like small food. It's stuck in there. So, other aspects they talk about, like how we see how people are, I don't know, we could see right through people's nonsense, through people's BS, right? Immediately, right? To the point where other people are like, yo, what's wrong with you? Why are you being, misanthropic, or why are you being, what is it called? Antisocial, or, why are you being like this? Why can't you just hang out? Well, I don't know, because a bunch of, the people around us are creeps here, and I'm seeing it and nobody else is, right? That kind of thing. Basically, it speaks to the fact that there are certain people, those of us who feel like we're, we've landed here from another planet, or it's becoming more and more apparent the more as this what's called spiritual war on this planet gets more intense and goes on. Those of us who are more tapped in can see more things, or can see other things that other people can't. I just want to add what I found, and this is not uniform across the board, but more often than not, people who are like this, for example, did not go along with the you-know-what narrative, right? From 2020 until, probably until now. For sure until 2023. With the stuff that they forced us to, take and all that kind of thing. Some of you guys know I had the unique position of also, being friends with the brother of a certain doctor who actually passed away. It's coming up on 2 years ago, but is it 2 years ago or a year ago? I can't remember. Man, seems like yesterday. But so there's things that I'm privy to that a lot of people, and also he was very derided. The doctor has a different story. So yeah, listen. So excuse me. That's another aspect. See see, guys, I'm gonna get into the Torah, and I'll describe to you, those of you guys are listening who are not part of the Jewish community or the Torah world. There's something called the Sitra Achra, which is basically the dark side. So I was gonna say the Sitra Achra doesn't want me to get this information out, so they put little pieces of food, matzah, into my throat, and I just can't crap it out, spit it out. Anyway, so guys, with that 8-minute intro, I just want to say that if I'm going to speak about this from a Jewish perspective, I just want to tell you that there's different terminology here. I'm not going to use the word chosen ones. I'm not going to use the word light workers. I'm going to use the word maybe just intuition. There's something to tapping into your own intuition, but in Kabbalah, and I can thank my friend Frank for this, there's something called the still small voice. The still small voice is the voice that you are, every person has the ability to hear when they work on tapping into their own neshama, into their own soul, what we call in Hebrew neshama, and they are able to tune out all the noise, all the spiritual noise, all the outside noise of the world. I don't mean like physical noise only. I'm talking about like noise, other types of noise, right? And they're able to hear the still small voice. The still small voice actually is Hashem, is God. And you may say, Tzvi, that's a little crazy. There's a joke they say in Judaism. We say, if you, If you talk to God, you're a tzaddik, and if God talks to you, you belong in a mental hospital, right? If you talk to God, you're a holy person, you're a holy man or a saint. if God talks to you, you belong in the crazy house, right? So, but there is something called still small voice, and we develop that, right? So, the people who, I guess, the general, what I call the general world, the non-Jewish world refers to when they say chosen ones, light workers, are the people who figured out some way, one way or another. Maybe they were born with this. Some people were born with it and then began developing it at a certain point, or it awakened in them and then they continued to develop it. They're still small voice, and what we call intuition. Right? For example, they walk into a room like this guy I was watching a video of this guy. He was talking about how you walk into a room and you can spot the snakes, right? Who the snakes are. People who are the good ones and people who are whatever, you know? That's intuition. That's a feel, right? And some people have intuition, but they don't listen to it, right? So they're just like, oh yeah. You come to them and you say, for example, like your friend, also sees what you see, but they're like, yeah, you're right, it's true, but whatever. I can't just be like, you gotta hang out, man. You gotta just can't be antisocial. You gotta hang out. You gotta make do with whoever's around. You gotta just whatever, just kind of like bite the bullet. So the difference between us and them is that we don't want to bite the bullet, right? Because biting the bullet leads us into, either having negative social interactions, or the fact that these people see that we see right through them, and they, it's one of those things like that I know that that I know, or what my friend Frank likes to call the young fool effect, right? When Darth Vader knows that the Jedi is onto him, right? Nobody else could see except for him, right? And so the Jedi comes up to him and he says, "I see right through you." And the Darth Vader goes, "Young fool, don't you know that no one else can see what you see and no one's gonna believe you?" That kind of thing, right? So that's another one, right? Another example. So yeah, guys, I'm not being too long-winded, but this kind of stuff exists in the Jewish community, right? Just no one talks about it, right? Because we, the Jewish people, and even unfortunately Orthodox Jews, many, not all, we have lost. We've gotten so caught up in just the machinery or the machinations or the mechanics of keeping the Torah, observing the commandments, and living a Jewish life, that we have lost the, I don't want to say lost, but we have forgotten about. It's still there. It hasn't been lost. We've forgotten about the art of tapping into your intuition, tapping into your still small voice, developing that ability to, walk into a room and see right through people, meaning not be a psychic, but I mean, see what's going on with people, see past their masks, right? Through their masks. That's something like, listen, some people, like I was just telling a friend of mine today that, I'm a weirdo, I was, since I'm a kid, 6 or 7 years old, I was asking the question, for example, just an example of one of the questions I would ask, who created God, right? Whether or not that's a valid question, Judaism addresses that. Maimonides addresses it and says it's a non-question, non-starter question. But the point is, I was asking it. Most children at 6 years old don't ask that question. And if they do, they ask it to themselves. They keep it to themselves. They don't walk around going, to their parents, oh, who created God? That kind of thing. So, but some people are born with it. Other people are born with it and they don't develop it. Other people are born with it and develop it. And other people just develop it. Wake up to it at some point. It's ignited in them for whatever reason, or by way of some catalyst, and then they develop it, right? So guys, I guess what I mean to say is that, listen, I'm not here to put myself on the pedestal. What I am here to do is I'm trying to come at this whole thing that everybody on YouTube has been talking about. Not everybody, but all these people that are talking about it on YouTube. I'm trying to come at it from a Jewish and Torah perspective, because we we are I think, the originators of this. What do I mean by that? We had these groups of rabbis called Chazal, our sages of blessed memory. Chazal is just an acronym for our sages of blessed memory, who were all what I'm describing, what you guys are describing. They all had the ability to walk into a room and see past everybody's mask, right? Not only that, unlike me and others, and like us, they had the ability to have, or they had enough emotional intelligence to kind of maneuver and navigate through, let's say, I just described how there's certain people that could tell that, this rabbi or this sage can see right through their mask. And these rabbis had the ability to not give that away, not what's called not telegraph that they in fact could, right? And if they could, and even if that person, how should I put this? And even if that person whose mask they saw right through noticed that, they had the ability to not come off as a threat. They had the ability to, kind of let that person know that, hey, I see right through you, but at the same time, I'm not here to be a threat, and I'm also here to, guide you. They had those defenses. They figured out how to maneuver among people. You could even meet rabbis today who also can see right through everybody, right? You walk into a room, they can see right through you. They can see everything that's going on with you, and on top of that, they can, make the biggest narcissist listen to them, every word they have to say. As opposed to, you guys know, with narcissists, you have to listen to them, right? And by the way, guys, our personality types are this chosen one thing. We tend to attract because we're all empaths, and we tend to attract narcissists and all the rest of them. Okay. So tzaddikim, these holy men and women, they have the ability not to only see the masks, they have the ability also to, oh my goodness gracious, again. They have the ability also to, neutralize the snakes, as it were. Again, that is something that we have in our nation. That is a teaching, a tradition we have, and it's not been lost, but it has been forgotten about. There's a couple of people that I know who give seminars and who give classes on developing this and reigniting that, in the community. And interestingly enough, those people tend to be people who did not grow up religious and came to Torah observance later in life. That's what I want to say. A lot of us in the Jewish community who are what you guys would describe as light workers and stuff like that are people who came to Torah observance later in life, because the fact that we came to the Torah observance later in life and woke up spiritually, it's part and parcel of the same kind of thing. It was a spiritual awakening. Just in our case, we started keeping Shabbat and all the rest of it, right? And going on the spiritual journey however we went on it. With that said, guys, and I'm gonna kind of leave you with this, just an intro video. You should know that, for example, and I'll speak more on this. Our sages told us, these same sages, the ones who could see through everybody's masks, they told us that the face of the generation, right before the redemption of the world, really, not just the Jewish people, would be like the face of a dog. What does that mean? Some people think it means that dogs wear masks and they're going to be wearing masks, like we wore during COVID. I say, and I've heard this from a few rabbis, so in Hebrew, the word for dog is kelev, right? If you separate the parts of the Um, the word, you can get something that sounds like kelev. Ke, or kemo, is like or as if, as. Lev, the word for heart is lev. Lev is the word for heart, right? So basically, it means as if it's an entire heart. Or what do we understand about dogs, right? Dogs are all heart. Animals in general, cats, they're all heart. Cats, dogs, most really dogs. I mean, out of the two of them, dogs are all heart, right? They love you with all their heart. Unconditional love. But what's the problem here? Or what's the problem for humans? For humans, to be all heart is bad. For dogs, it's great because you're all heart and you win the favor of a human. You're human, your owner, your master. But if you're a person, if you're a human being with all heart, you're not using your brain. And my friends, in Judaism, we have a teaching, Chochmah Bina Das, the mind has to control the heart. Wisdom, intuition, and knowledge. The mind has to control the heart. And look around you guys. Look at the political world. Look at the social/political world. Look at how people look at news or the news that they're fed. Look at how everybody consumes information. Look at how people are looking at the psyop that they see on their screen. They can't think straight. They're just reacting emotionally, right? At least half of the people, maybe more. Because they're just kelev, dog. The face of the generation is like the face of a dog. They're just emotional like a dog. And what happens? It's chaos. It's emotions. It's unhinged. It's violence and it's chaos. They can't think. They don't know how to think. They weren't taught to think in school. No one taught them to think. The mechanics of thinking. Where the mind controls the heart, not the other way around. Or just it's all heart, right? So guys, this is connected to this whole idea, what you guys have been talking about on YouTube, chosen ones, light workers, because with this whole concept, right, or what I call people who just tapped into the still small voice, we've tapped into our intuition, so our heart is there, right? Because obviously there's empathy, there's we feel things, right? But we feel things and then we take those feelings and we transfer it to the mind, and then we use the mind to discern what's going on over here. Is this what are these people doing that we're watching on the TV screen, right? What is this doctor doing when he's telling us, oh, this works, but this, it doesn't work? First he's telling us it does work, and then he's telling us it's not going to stop this, but it's not going to be as, he's telling us, in increments. He's giving us incremental, moving the goalposts, as we say, right? That's just one example, right? Or some politician comes out and says something, right? And then he says the opposite, and then, we see that he's, whatever. He's got a problem. Medical problem of some kind, right? We're using our mind. We're using our intuition. Something is off. I mean, here you don't need to see that. You don't even need to tap into your intuition to see that something is off. You just need to have, not be blind and be able to see something is off. But that's a different story. We're tapping into our still small voice. Mind controls the heart. But the intuition allows us to see, allows us our mind's eye to see what we have, what we see on the television screen, to really see what is behind what we're being shown. Or when we walk into a room, people around us, to see who's a snake, who's genuine, who isn't, who's fake, who's real, who's putting up a front. Again, the only issue is how do we not give away our cards, because the people whose mask we see can tell that we see the mask, and then they react accordingly, adversely at us, right? And then we become like again, it's a typical thing, right? That you guys talk about on YouTube, I've noticed. And I found that to be the case as well. It's not, it's not a Jewish thing, non-Jewish thing, it's a universal thing, right? So, anyway, guys, apologies if I'm a little rambly all over the place, but I just want to let you know that, there's a Jew who's watching you. I don't mean that in a sinister way, but there's a Jewish guy, namely me, who's been watching you guys on YouTube, and I see that you're getting this idea out there, and you've given it a nomenclature, you've given it a name. It's not an incorrect name for what you guys are talking about, but I just want to let you know that there is a source for it in the Torah, or an idea that is, kind of basically the same thing, if not in the ballpark. And our sages have been speaking about it for centuries. And, again, unfortunately, we haven't lost it. It's still there. Nothing's ever really lost. We just forgot about it. We forgot about it. We, stopped reading the books about it. They exist somewhere. There was somebody named the Baal Shem Tov, Israel Baal Shem. He was the founder of a Hasidic movement. He spoke about these things, tapping into these things. There was other, what we call Hasidic masters, masters of piety in our nation, spoke about these things. But again, too many, as you guys can see, it's continuing now. Too many pogroms, too many chasings out, too much running around. We were just focused on, finding a chicken for Shabbat, for the Sabbath meal. We were focused on making sure our kids had an education, a basic Torah education. We were focused on, we were focused on the physical mechanics of being a Torah Jew, right? And there was a couple of people who tried to keep these things alive, but at the end of the day, we just wanted to survive. And then came the Shoah, right? And now, just now, the last 20 years, 15 years, we have a creature comfort society, right? So now we have the time and the energy and the ability and the internet and the wherewithal and the know-how to maybe start approaching this, what we call Chokhmah in Hebrew, this wisdom that we have. And just know, if you guys are not Jewish or watching this, we have this too, these concepts. I'm one of you, if you want to say the X-Men, but I'm one of you, Jewish version, I guess. Again, because what you guys are saying resonates with me, I'm just giving it a different name, right? So anyway, this is gonna be like what I'm about to say now. You guys are gonna be like, "Oh, it's so typical," but you know what? Whatever. So I noticed some of you folks offer sessions, as it pertains to this wisdom, this topic, and really, it's really more of a. How should I put this? People are seeking whom to talk to, right? So, listen, if you guys want, I'm here. 15 minutes, free, just to talk about, anything you're experiencing with regards to this whole being a chosen one, being a light worker, being a person who's tapped into your still small voice, intuition. And, maybe I can bring, not maybe, for sure I can bring a Jewish perspective, a Torah perspective into this, because the Torah and Jewish philosophy has a lot what to say on these things. I didn't even get into like how there's people who just You know, the people that you see with their masks, how this is all, these people have what's called klipot on them. You know, Kabbalah talks about husks, or these people have, you know, whatever, they have blockages, spiritual blockages, and how they'll be attracted to folks like us. You know, that's a whole different, way deeper conversation. There's what to talk about, you know. So if you guys want 15 minutes free, and then the rest of the time, you know, we can talk about it. Very nominal. Very nominal. I'm here to help, I guess. You know, there's an idea we have, by helping others, we help ourselves, you know. I'm sure it's a universal idea, it's not just a Jewish thing, so. Anyway, guys, alright. I guess stay tapped in. I don't want to say stay awake, it sounds corny, you know, but yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. Don't let anybody throw you off. Don't let anybody make you feel guilty for not wanting to participate in this and that and the other. You know, don't let people make you feel guilty about, oh, you don't want to date somebody, you don't want to go here, you don't want to go there. You don't want to marry a person just to get married, for example. Don't let society or individuals throw you off what you know to be true. And I don't want to say your truth, but what your neshama, what your soul has tapped into, understanding is the truth in front of your face. The intuition that told you this is what's going on. I know like I know like I know. Don't let people throw you off of that. That's all I can, you know, impart. And because ultimately, you know, guys, and here's something that nobody in the YouTube channel, no one who has a YouTube channel talks about this, has said that very thing, that ability to stay on course and not allow anybody to throw you off your intuitive path is actually what we call in Judaism making your will God's will, or making God's will your will, lining up your will with God. That's what that means. It doesn't mean that we're God, or we're like psychic, or we're prophets. You know, people would always say in Judaism, or like at any Sabbath table, I want to give you a blessing to make line up your will with God's will, right? What the heck does that even mean? But now that I look at it kind of deeper, that's what that means. When you tap into your intuition, your God-given intuition, you're making your will God's will. Now you ask the question, well, sweet, how do I know I'm not deluding myself? You could see, you could tell, you could see, you can know. It's a knowing. Like a friend of mine told me, it's a knowing. It's a knowing. It's something that's known. And you either don't know, or you know. Or in the words of Christopher Wallace, if you don't know, now you know. Alright, guys. I've gone over my time limit, self-imposed. And, alright, so here goes nothing and something. Or as you're saying, Kabbalah, Yesh Me'ayin. The Hashem, God created the world, something ex nihilo, as we say, something from nothing. Yesh Me'ayin, there is from nothing. Anyway, more to come. Laila Tov.